Hey guys, welcome to Critical Flick. Today I'm reviewing Leave the World Behind, now streaming on Netflix. So this is a new end of the world film that has just released on the platform, and I have to say, I thought it was a pretty fun watch. While some of the themes and the overall setting of this film have been seen many times before, I do think it does work with what it's trying to accomplish. In this movie, we see a family leaving New York City to get a holiday away from the city, away from the hustle and bustle, when they end up being caught up in this wild end-of-world event. A father and daughter, played by Mahershala Ali and Mahala Harold, end up showing up at their Airbnb, and they're the owners of the home, and they need to get in there to get away from kind of the crazy events that are happening. And then the movie really unfolds into kind of a case study of how people experience trauma and how people experience the end of the world. It deals a lot with interpersonal relationships and our preconceived notions of how people are and how we kind of devolve into kind of our basic elements when we get thrown into a disaster. One of the more common themes that we've seen in media, whether it be Black Mirror or other disaster films, is our reliance on technology and how in a blink of an eye that can be taken away from us, so we kind of revert back to the Stone Age, our reliance on that entertainment, our reliance on that communication, and what that does to us psychologically. But I did think one of the more interesting twists in the film is that it does focus on the idea of us having entertainment as escapism. The young daughter in the film is in love with Friends. It's something that she really enjoys. She feels so invested, but she can't watch the end of the show because of the breakdown in communication. She can't stream it. And then it kind of comes full circle by the end of the film. So I did like that kind of touch of, okay, technology can be very bad and it can have some bad influences and it makes us very reliant and makes us kind of very vulnerable to attack. But at the same time, it can give us a little bit of escapism. And I think that's kind of ironic with the film being on a streaming platform, being on Netflix. It kind of references Netflix a little bit throughout this film. So I thought that was kind of an interesting twist on this kind of tried true tale about technology and the cautions of our reliance. I do think the performances were pretty good. I think that Julia Roberts playing a mother who's thrown into the situation and trying to deal with this kind of crazy event, it feels very genuine and not forced. I'll say this movie has a little bit of issues when it comes to kind of tone shifts. It feels like it wants to be this very kind of serious movie that's talking about the end of the world, but interjects a little bit of kind of strange comedy into it. And I feel like during those times it may feel a little unbalanced. There wasn't anything overwhelming. I don't think it takes a lot away from the film, but I will say that was a slight knock I had for it. And beyond Julia Roberts, I think the other actors gave some interesting performances, and it really tells the story of how generations deal with things and kind of our relationship with technology in the world. The young children obviously are kind of glued to their technology and they have their own ideas of how things are done. Then you have Mahala Harold, who plays kind of a college-age individual, has more of kind of a cynical look at things. And then you have the older characters that obviously have a different relationship with technology and they're able to kind of pivot and handle these things and maybe understand it from a higher level. I will say at times, while the themes do work, they are a little bit on the nose. Obviously, there's a lot of scenes, without going to a lot of spoilers, that talk about technology, our reliance on it. Some of the dialogue is a little stilted, especially around the younger characters and how they talk about technology. Like they're completely oblivious to everything else in the world. And while that may be the case for some younger people, maybe for me, I'm maybe a little more generous to people. Maybe I don't think that people are as dumb as they can appear in films. Obviously, for films, people need to make bad decisions and say kind of dumb things at times to move the plot along. It's nothing egregious, but at times it does stick out a little bit. And throughout the film, there's quite a bit of tension. They're also isolated in this kind of area just outside New York City, so they're seeing these events happen. Particularly towards the end of the film, there's some pretty striking visuals, but I do like the idea that they're isolated and trapped in this individual location. A lot of films that take place in one place are kind of hard to pull off, but I do like the idea of them being trapped there. They're just hearing these things happening. They're getting little pieces of information. You, along with them as the audience, don't really fully know what's happening. And I like that ambiguity. I think for some people, they might not love the fact that the movie doesn't have like a full and tight resolution, but I do think by the end you get a general idea of what's happening, and it really is more about the themes of what's going on, necessarily the actual event itself. I will say that the film does feel a little overwrought at times. It feels like it's kind of stretching out to make a longer runtime than it needs. It feels like the themes get across pretty strongly within the first hour and a half and 2 hours of the film. So the last couple minutes, while I did like the ending of it, I feel like it could have been tightened up and maybe edited a little bit more to get straight to the point. But at the end of the day, I thought it was a pretty decent film that talks about a lot of themes that are very timely today, especially with the world we live in, while also focusing on kind of the basic instincts of humans and our interactions with one another and how we can grow apart and together and kind of our conflicts that arise when we're stripped away from all the modernisms that we deal with. So if you check this one out, let me know what you thought about it. Did you like it more than me? Did you like it less? I always love to hear people's opinions. I'm a little bit of a sucker for these end of the world type films, so I think I might have liked it maybe a little more than others. So if you didn't enjoy it, I always love to hear people's opinions. Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and see you guys next time.